Hey guys, welcome into my high-end makeup collection video. I have done my drugstore version. I've done my luxury beauty collection video also. The logical next step here is to go over my high-end collection. This does include some items from Sephora. Arguably, I may have missed some in my luxury makeup. I mean, there's some things in here that I would almost consider luxury, but nonetheless, this is where they landed. I thought it would be fun to do this video in addition to the other videos that I did. I go through them category by category. First up is primer. So the first one that I have is the Tula Filter Primer, Blurring and Moisturizing. I don't know. I kind of feel like I splurged on this. I haven't really used it, but I kind of feel like I keep it in my collection because it was kind of pricey. I kind of feel like this pilled up on my skin a little bit, like underneath my foundation. I have noticed that I don't really get along with a lot of Tula products, and it looks like I've used a lot more of this than I really have. I've probably only used this, I want to say, like 5 times total. If you're like me and getting rid of more expensive things is difficult, I mean, that's why some of these things that are a little bit more expensive stay a little bit longer. I have this one from First Aid Beauty. This is the Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. I like this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's nice for a boost of hydration. It's a pretty thick cream. Most of First Aid Beauty products work really well for me because they're made for sensitive skin. They're usually fragrance free or, you know, natural fragrance, no added fragrances to them. So they usually get along with my skin pretty well. The next one I have here is the Urban Decay All Nighter Face Primer. I like this one. It's not an overly hydrating primer. It's more like, I don't know, a cross between kind of a lotion and like a silicone primer. I don't necessarily find that it grips as much as some of my other ones, but I do think it's nice. It never messes with any of the foundation that I put on top of it, never makes me feel heavy, and some silicone primers do dry me out a little bit, so I don't find that this one does that. I have one here from Glossier. This is the Priming Moisturizer. I really fell in love with this when I first got it. I want to say it's almost at 12 months now, because it's this really lightweight lotion. Like, that's basically what it is. It's not necessarily a primer, I think, in that it's meant to perfect your makeup or anything. It's more just kind of like a hydrating primer, and it is. It sinks into the skin really well. It's a nice boost of hydration. I think it was one of my favorite things I hauled in my full face of Glossier. That is a product that I kept reaching for, especially at that time, because I was going through a really dry period with my face and I kept reaching for that. I do like this one, like for the same reason that I like the Glossier one. This is the Sephora Hydrating Primer. This one kind of reminds me of a drugstore one that I have. This is more gel-like than the one from Glossier, but it's still a very thin formula that really sinks into your skin and just gives you a boost of hydration. Some of my favorite primers are these ones from Rare Beauty. I have both of the ones that she came out with. So this one is the Illuminating Primer. It is really pretty. It has like a pink pearlescent finish. It's nice and it doesn't mess with any of my foundations. It's really pretty. It's one of my favorite illuminating primers. This one is just the mini, and then her other one, probably I enjoy that a little bit more, which is the pore diffusing one. I feel like this is my favorite pore diffusing primer. I just feel like this one actually works. Like, it actually blurs my skin. It actually diffuses my pores. It even like looks like it on my hand. Well, at least to me. I don't know, I put such a little bit on, but like, I think this one actually really does the trick. I've tried many pore diffusing and blurring primers, and I don't always find that they do a darn thing, and I feel like this one from Rare Beauty really does. One that kind of performs similarly to the pore diffusing primer from Rare Beauty, see the Glossier one just got everywhere, is the Calibre So Blown Clean Blurring Primer. I like a lot of stuff from Calibre. I realized I was just kind of off screen there. I feel like this one's very similar to the Rare Beauty one. Can you see like how blurring it is? It works so well, and it's so darn soft. This is one of my favorite primers also. I don't reach for primers that often, not anymore. I feel like I used to. I feel like I go straight into foundation so much because I'm rushing. But man, if you're looking for a blurring primer, I have been really enjoying all the stuff from Calibre. I have a mini of the Milk Makeup Hydra Grip. Again, I haven't reached for this in a while, but you can see I I've used quite a bit of it. I don't have much of it left. I'm actually getting more into grippy primers again. I've been using the e.l.f. a lot. There's one from Hard Candy that I really like. There's even one from Hourglass that I have. I've just been reaching for them more frequently. The only thing is I don't feel like it's just overly nourishing. I think that one has a tendency to kind of dry my skin out if I'm having a more dry skin day, but that would be the only downside to that primer. Then I have one that I really like as like just a moisturizer. I'm not even sure they make this anymore. It's the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. It's just so thin and like gel-like and watery, and I feel like it just gives my skin like this boost of hydration. It's just silky and nice, and also a mini, but I've used quite a bit of it. I haven't reached for it in a while, but man, there was a period there where I couldn't put that down. And then I have one of these Say Glowy Super Gel. I always forget the name of this darn thing. This one is actually in a shade. This one is in Star Glow, which is the lightest. This is, I would equate this to like the Rare Beauty. It's very, very similar to her illuminating primer. I think this is meant to be kind of a liquid highlighter, but also can be just kind of like a multi-use illuminating product. There was a period there where I couldn't put this down either. I think it's really beautiful for what it is, and also never messes with any of the stuff that I put on top of it. I have the Drunk Elephant Virgin Marula Luxury Facial Oil. Really good product when I was in my dry skin phase, because it's just so luxurious and beautiful. I used to put that like all over my nose when my nose used to get really dry, and I thought that it was a beautiful oil. It's definitely very expensive, and I think there are probably much cheaper alternatives out there if you're looking for a facial oil, but that was my first time trying Drunk Elephant, and I really enjoyed it. Then I wanted to pick up the Tatcha, the Liquid Silk Canvas, because so many people had raved about this. This is obviously another mini. I try and get minis and primers in case I don't like them, plus I don't use them that often, so one mini lasts me a long time. This actually reminds me of like the NYX Marshmallow Primer, because it's kind of like this whipped creamy feeling. It's like really grippy, like as far as kind of a more lotiony texture. I feel like it's grippy, but yeah, it just has this whipped consistency about it. I don't know that I really find that it overly grips any of my makeup or really does anything, so I just wasn't as big of a fan of this product, I think, as like a lot of people. My skin type, I didn't feel like it did all that much. Okay, that's it for the face primers. Let me bring out the foundations next. All right, let's start off with the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I feel like when I first tried this, I was like, okay, it's good, you know, I don't know. And then recently when I tried it again, because my skin is kind of changing at this particular moment in time, that it's becoming a lot more combo, and I think that has to do with just my age in general. And this was so beautiful. It was like satin kind of looking, but then it had this like super natural radiant finish about it, but it still had the longevity of a satin finish foundation. There's just something so beautiful about that foundation, and I feel like it can be used for so many different skin types. I think that's the huge benefit to this. I feel like this is a product that works for a lot of different people, because it worked for me when I had dry skin, and now that I'm more combo, I feel like it looks even better. I have the Merit, this is like a concealer and a foundation. It's called the Minimalist Perfecting Complexion Stick. By the way, guys, if I miss foundation shades, just let me know, because I constantly do that. This one is in 110 Light Neutral, and this one is in Silk. I kept this, I think, for reference, but I really don't get along with stick foundations for whatever reason. They're kind of just like a thicker texture, I guess, and they kind of sit on my skin. But I do kind of prefer this as concealer, but I found that I'm liking it more now that my skin has changed. So I have been enjoying this, and I'm glad that I held on to it, because that one was like really on the chopping block for me. This one from Tarte, the Maracuja Juicy Glow. This one is in the shade 16 Fair Light Neutral, or 16N, which is Fair Light Neutral. I kind of like that they have the description on there too. I really liked this. I was surprised that it worked for me, because it's kind of a thicker consistency, and because I feel like it's like a whipped texture, which I was telling you guys usually kind of sits on top of my skin and doesn't sink in. Same thing with primers, foundations, concealers, that sort of thing that usually just don't work well. This one does. The only thing is that like it has this kind of like metallic finish to it, which I actually thought I would hate, because I don't like that in a blush, but I think it was beautiful and it was a pretty long-lasting foundation. So even though I think it was a reach to add that much metallicness to a foundation, I still thought it was beautiful. I have this one from Tower 28. This is the Sunny Days with Broad Spectrum SPF 30. It's in the shade 10 Larchmont. I don't know that I love this or have loved this as much as some people. I thought it was good. I just don't know that I thought it was great. Because I think of reaching for this product when I'm looking for an SPF, but there are a couple of other ones that have SPF in it, especially in K-Beauty, that I prefer more. And then I have one from Estee Lauder that has a lot of SPF in it also that I prefer more. So I find myself reaching for those ones over this. I don't think this is bad. I just don't think it perfects my skin is the only thing. And I feel like those other ones do. I have one from Paula's Choice. This is not really a foundation. It's a super light daily wrinkle defense. Arguably it's skincare, but at the same time it's tinted. So I think it was supposed to be like a tinted sunscreen. So if you wanted a light coverage for a pool day or something along those lines, you just didn't want to wear a lot of foundation, this would be good. This is for normal, oily, and combo skin. This one is in the shade, I have no idea. It says 5 Moisturize AM. If the shade is 5, I don't know. So this is what it looks like. Very, very sheer, but it is a tint. So it is like a tinted sunscreen. And I have worn this many a time for a pool day and for the beach, and I think it's beautiful. I have one here from Iconic London. This is probably the product that I like least from Iconic London. It's their Super Smoother Blurring Skin Tint. This one is in the shade Neutral Light. It's really, really light, if you can see. Like, it's just a really runny, lightweight formula, but it did not want to sink into my pores. However, it was one of the better skin tints that I was trying at the time, so I held on to it, but I haven't reached for it since then, so I need to pull this back out and see, now that I'm a little bit more combo, if it works better for me. One skin tint that I really like is the Cali Ray Free Dreaming Skin Wellness Diffusing Tint. This one is in the shade The 2. This one's beautiful. It sinks into my skin just fine. It's a little bit of a light shade for me, and I always notice that. I wish I got a little bit of a darker shade. If you can see, the rest of my foundations are just kind of on the darker side. I like a little bit darker than my actual skin tone. That's just what I prefer. But I think this is beautiful. It's light coverage. It's blurring. It's really what made me kind of fall in love with Cali Ray products. I got that and the primer at the same time, and both of them, they look like beautiful together. I have this one from Too Faced. This is the Born This Way Healthy Glow Moisturizing Skin Tint SPF of 30. They market this as a skin tint, but it's like a satin finish foundation. Like, it might be lightweight, but like the coverage isn't. And when it dries down to like a satin finish, at least on my skin. I feel like this shade is too much. It's too dark, it's too warm, too orange. This one is in the shade Vanilla. Even though it's just a really lightweight formula, it still performs like a satin finish foundation. Surprised, because I don't feel like it has a healthy glow to it. Even though it does work, it's just not working how it's marketed, I think. I have one from Makeup by Mario. He calls this the Surreal Skin. This one is in 5N. I actually really liked this, I think, from like the moment that I tried it. It reminds me of the House Labs a lot, in that it's like pretty and medium coverage, but it's also like, it performs like a satin foundation while looking super hydrating. It has like these little pearls in it, or like sparkles, but they never translate to the face. I think it's really pretty. It's not my favorite, and I haven't reached for it as much as maybe some of the other ones, and I prefer the House Labs one, but I do think this is pretty good. I have one from LYS. The cap doesn't even stay on anymore. This one is in the shade LN6. This one almost got decluttered, but as my skin started to change, I feel like this actually became a much better foundation than when my skin was dry. Even though it calls itself a triple fix serum foundation, it has hyaluronic acid in it, and sometimes hyaluronic acid, and my skin, when it was on the drier side, it didn't like work the greatest. I would not say it's serum-like in that it's super serum-y. It's not thin. It's kind of a medium weight texture, medium coverage, but I feel like it works better for like combo and oily skin. This one from Sephora is the Best Skin Ever. This one is in the shade 17.5N. This is my most used foundation. This is like one of my holy grails. It's so beautiful on my skin. I don't know, it lasts all day. It's like a satin finish foundation, not fully matte. Worked really well with my dry skin, has worked in so many climates. It's like my skin but better. It just works really well for me and my skin type. I instantly fell in love with this, even though it's kind of like this whipped texture, maybe a little bit thicker. For whatever reason, it just worked really well. So this is one of my favorites of all time. I have the Say What Weightless Soft Matte Foundation from Oma Beauty. I think this is really pretty. Like, it reminds me of the LYS one. It's kind of a heavier weight formula. Sorry, some of these I haven't grabbed in a while. And it's more, I don't know, it's like almost full coverage, but it's like a satin finish foundation that's kind of my skin but better. You guys, I was talking away and I forgot to hit the record button because my son had walked in and was talking to me. So I'm just going over right now the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation in 2N1 Cashew. I was saying that I really fell in love with this when I first got it. I think it's like medium coverage and it's super lightweight. Like, it has a ton of oils in it. So it's kind of like the Ritual Defee foundation that just came out with a 3 drops weightless serum foundation. It just spreads over your complexion with like a tiny bit of product really well. It's almost like warm to the touch. So it's super like oily. And so I find this one actually really hydrating. I was saying in my luxury collection video that the Ritual Defee one actually dries out my skin, but this one doesn't. It's really, really beautiful. I think it like has a slight radiance to it, but still, again, performs like a satin finish foundation. So it's a really interesting texture or consistency. It's really, really lightweight, but I don't know, it works for my skin really well. The ones that I missed were the Smashbox Always On Skin Balancing Foundation with hyaluronic acid and adaptogens. This one's fairly new to my collection because it's a fairly new release. This one is in L10N. I really, really enjoy this. It's like medium weight, medium coverage, but it has like this beautiful dewy finish and has the longevity of a satin finish foundation. I do find that my oils peek through on this about 3 hours in, so I don't think that it's great for oily skin people. I think it's probably a foundation that performs best on people with dry skin. This is my first time trying a Smashbox complexion product, but I really, really enjoy it. Then I was also talking about the what is this called? The Glowy Super Skin Foundation. And I was saying that I also really enjoy this one. There's a ton of oils in it. It's one of my few that like separates like right away when I put it up and don't shake it for a while. It reminds me a lot of the Makeup by Mario in its luminosity, but it's a lighter weight formula. It works for me though. This one is the Dr. Jart Beauty BB Premium Beauty Balm with SPF 40. This one is in the shade Fair to Light. Dr. Jart is like a skincare brand, so this is like, I want to say, one of their few makeup items, but this was actually the reformulation that came out last year. It reminds me a lot of the Misha BB cream because it has this like gray texture to it. But you guys, it's like a whipped consistency, performs like a satin finish foundation, looks glowy, but like doesn't slip off of your skin in the humidity. Oh, something about this totally perfects my complexion, makes my skin look like, I don't know, just better. And it has a really high SPF in it. It's such a nice product. It's expensive, but it's nice. I shouldn't say that it's expensive over some of the other ones. I just felt like in comparison to the Misha and other K-beauty brands that do similar formulations as that one would definitely be the most expensive. Then I have one from NARS. This is their Light Reflecting Foundation in Deauville. This one came out last year and everyone was going crazy over it and I hated it at the time. I just didn't want to say it out loud. But I tried it again recently. Oh, it's sitting on top of makeup remover. I didn't dry it all off. I tried it again recently because I'm more combo now. So good for combo skin. But when I was dry, it was terrible. Terrible. I feel like this is a really, really good high coverage foundation for people with combo to oily skin because it's super, super beautiful. The only thing is this sinks into my fine lines like nobody's business. Last but certainly not least is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint in the shade 4. This is also a very new release. I did not like the serum foundation, but I love this. It's much lighter coverage than that was. I feel like her other foundation was full coverage. This is, I want to say light buildable to medium. It's like the Smashbox one, I feel like, in that it performs like a satin finish foundation, but like has more radiance than that. It's really pretty on my skin. I give the ones that have a little bit more radiance like higher praise now that I have combo skin, because if it works for me now, I really enjoy it, and I feel like it'll work for just a lot of different people. So that's the foundations. Let's move on into concealers. So I forgot 2 foundations, not a shocker. I have the Patrick Ta for Face. This is the cream foundation and finishing powder duo in Fair 2. I liked this. I think this was a hit or miss for a lot of people. I thought this was really pretty on my skin, and I also really enjoyed the finishing powder. I don't reach for it that much, but I thought it was really pretty. It was very smoothing. You can tell it has like a lot of oils in it, and the powder was really soft. I think they looked beautiful together. I enjoyed this product. I did not dislike it like some people. Also, I really enjoyed the KVD Good Apple Balm. This is the Skin Perfecting Foundation Balm in Light 012. This worked really well for me. Again, I feel like this has like a ton of oils in it, and that's kind of what people were saying was like, oh, it's just super heavy on the skin, and I don't know. It worked really well, especially when I had like dry skin. Like the oils in it were really nice for my skin. It didn't dry me out or anything. This is from Make Beauty. This is the Skin Mimetic Concealer. It's a little bit too light coverage for me. It almost doesn't do anything because it's so light, but I've held on to it because I really enjoy a lot of Make Beauty products, and I really wanted to keep like most of their makeup collection in my collection. This one is in the shade 03 Light Cool, or Light C, which I'm sure refers to cool. It's just not enough coverage for me, but if you're somebody who likes a really light coverage concealer, like, then this would be awesome. I have one from Smashbox. This is their brand newest release, the Halo Healthy Glow 4-in-1 Perfecting Pen in Light 10N, same as the foundation. This is one of my favorite concealers right now. It's so good. It's an actual buildable formula that does like light medium coverage, but it looks like perfect on my under eyes. Yeah, it's one of the few concealers that I have in my whole collection that is actually buildable, and I don't even mind like the brush tip. This is such a good concealer, you guys, if you like to build your concealer up, or you just like that like straight up medium coverage that does its job, no frills. This is awesome. I also threw color correctors in here, so I feel like I'll go through those. I have the one from Becca, the Under Eye Brightening Corrector. This is in light to medium. I've held on to this because I feel like it's one of the best color correctors probably ever made. Just the right consistency, just the right shade, doesn't crease on my under eyes. That's the biggest thing. I find a lot of color correctors that when they actually do something, they're just too heavy, and so they crease, but this one doesn't. And then the other color corrector that I have is from Natasha Denona. This one is the High Glam Correcting Concealer in C1. This is supposed to correct, and the concealer is really supposed to conceal. It's like not a product that I feel like is useful because it's too heavy to put underneath the concealer, and so like just the shade alone doesn't work for me. Again, it's a situation that it's just too thick of a formula underneath the concealer, so it's an extra step. I just would much prefer to reach for the concealer. I do like the concealer, but I just don't like color corrector. I have the Born This Way Ethereal Light Illuminating Smoothing Concealer from Too Faced. This one is in the shade Graham Cracker. I really enjoyed this. I think I bought this at the same time as I bought that skin tint, and even though the shade is not great, and that's my fault, it's a little bit on the warm side, it's almost like a color corrector, it doesn't crease under my under eyes, and it's like medium coverage. All right, I had to reposition myself. I know you can see this little hole that lifts that up, but anyway, not a great shade, but it's kind of like a tacky formula. It's definitely like a grippy consistency, but it doesn't crease, and it's medium coverage, so I love it for that. All right, some of my potted ones. I have one from Too Faced. They don't even make this anymore. This is the Peach Concealer, and it's matte coverage. I think this is on the older side, and it should probably go, but it's such a good, I don't know, it's like a matte finish and like a whipped texture or a whipped consistency, but it works medium buildable coverage. It smells like peaches. It's one of the few potted concealers that works really well for me, that actually gives me coverage. I feel very similarly about the RMS one. It's again one that doesn't crease, where I find a lot of potted concealers crease on me. This is the Uncover Up. I think this is in 00 is what the shade looks like to me. So both of those, like, best potted concealers I've ever tried. Both just medium, a little bit tacky, but don't crease. I've held on to the one from Glossier because it's pretty popular. It's called the Stretch Concealer in G11, but it's like no coverage. Like, even if it looks like it is on the swatch, it's just virtually none. This is for people that aren't really trying to conceal much of anything. I've held on to it, and if I want something for super light days, I'll reach for it, but not very often. I love this one from Milk. This one became one of my favorites. This is their Flexible Fluid All Over Cream Concealer in 7NW. Look at how I jump between shades, but it doesn't crease, and it's like tacky and medium. This one is also the wrong shades for a Best Skin Ever Full Coverage Multi-Use Concealer. I feel like this one reminds me of the one from Milk a lot, because it's like, look at the shades. Even the shades are the same, because it's kind of like a medium weight formula, medium coverage. Well, it's kind of medium to full, and this one is in 15.5N. So it's lighter than the foundation, but it's just more warm to me than N would indicate as neutral. I don't love this as much as the foundation. This is a heavier consistency than the Milk. Then I have your famous NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Light to Vanilla. I mean, who doesn't need this in their collection? Basically everybody does. It's so smoothing, it's so light buildable coverage, but it's such a lightweight formula. Like, no frills on that one. The Naked Quickie Concealer from Urban Decay, this one is in 30NN. Nope. I've kept this and I just haven't decluttered it yet, but it creases. It creases under my under eyes. You know, that's all it has to do wrong. I don't want a creasy concealer, so I just haven't decluttered it. I'm holding on to it. I liked this one, the Bye Bye Dark Spots Concealer and Serum from IT Cosmetics, and this one was in the shade, there it is, Light Neutral 22. I was not expecting to like this. I wanted to test it because it was a new release, but a lot of IT Cosmetics products have not worked, like base products and concealers have not worked for me in the past, but this one does. It's like light to medium coverage, light to medium weight, but it doesn't crease, so I like it. And then I have one from Lawless. This is the Conceal the Deal Full Coverage Concealer. This one's a little bit too light for me. This one is in Linen. This is a really full coverage concealer, but it's also one of the products that made me fall in love with Lawless, because it didn't crease on me, even though it was super full coverage, and that usually doesn't happen. Usually full coverage concealers just immediately crease, so I really enjoy that when I'm looking for a full coverage concealer. And then finally, I have the LYS Triple Fix Full Coverage Brightening Concealer, LN6, and then here is my backup. I don't think I loved this when it first came out, but it's like my holy grail now. It's so lightweight, and it's like light to medium buildable coverage. It's just so good. It just smooths my under eyes so much that here's its little baby sister. One of my most reached for concealers at the current moment. Okay, that is it for concealers, you guys. I am definitely gonna take a break. It is pretty late in the evening, so we will be back tomorrow and we will go over powders, setting sprays, all the rest. We are on to a new day and a new section. So let me pull out my favorite ones first. This one from One Size is actually a powder foundation. It's the Turn Up the Base Versatile Foundation Powder in Fair 3N. If you guys know me and have seen a lot of my videos, you know I love foundation powders as setting powders because I just think that they're really smooth. They're meant to be kind of like a tackier formula that tends to be a little bit more hydrating, and I feel like less drying because they're kind of like, you know, your final complexion product. I love this. It's one of my favorite, it's actually my favorite high-end foundation powder for setting powder. And then I really like this one. This from Laura Mercier is a finishing powder, or at least I think it's a finishing powder. It's the Real Flawless Luminous Perfecting Pressed Powder in Translucent. It's more like a finishing powder because it's kind of on the softer side. It really doesn't like set my makeup too much. It's also not like overly luminous. It's just kind of smooth looking. When it gets to the skin, it has a tiny bit of luminosity, but I don't find that it's like pearlized or really transfers. I don't know. It's just super, super beautiful on the skin. So I really enjoy that one. The next one that I probably like the best, I feel like, is the Make Beauty one. This is their Diffusion Set Translucent Powder. This one is in Translucent Light Medium. It does have a tint to it. Like, it's definitely shaded. Look, I even made a dip in the pan. That's awesome. These are all like removable compacts from Make. See how much like shaded this is? This is almost like a kind of heavier setting powder, but I like that it offers me a little bit of extra coverage. I just think it's so beautiful on the skin. It really sets my makeup down really nicely. So I enjoy this one. So those are probably my favorites. I like a lot of the loose powders, but I think my favorites in the loose powder category are probably these three. I really enjoyed the Fenty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Setting Powder in Butter. When I was on the drier skin side of things, I felt like this was a little bit heavy, but now that I have a little bit more combo, it's really this like smooth, silky formula. It has a scent to it. It's definitely highly fragranced, but I feel like this is better for people with more combo skin, more oily skin, because it's, I don't know, it's definitely a pretty, I almost want to say kind of like drying powder. It's just really oil controlling and it's beautiful. And I bought this a long time ago. Well, I don't want to say a long time ago, but probably when I first started my makeup collection, the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, because it had a lot of popularity, but I didn't love it. I felt like it was a little bit drying on my dry skin. But now that I have more combo skin, I know I keep saying that, but like some of these things, they get revisited and then they, you know, get a brand new life to them. So this one I found has a lot of hype for good reason if you're not an overly dry skinned person. And then I really enjoy the one from Huda Beauty, and this is a mini, so I guess she calls it the Baby Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder, and this one is in Pound Cake. It has this weird little puff on it, and I don't like love the puff, but like the powder itself is really nice. I mean, it almost reminds me a lot of the Fenty. I really didn't do much there, but it reminds me a lot of the Fenty. I don't really love this packaging because I don't really like that little puff, but I think the powder is really good. The rest of them, I could take them or leave them, to be honest. And some of them do different things. The Sephora one is actually pretty nice, but it's like hard panned on me, which I don't love. This is called the Micro Smooth Multitasking Baked Face Powder in 15 Nude. I like it. Like, I feel like it's really smooth. It does offer a little bit of coverage, but it's not a really long lasting powder. That's the only thing. Like, it definitely perfects my skin and smooths it, but it's not overly long lasting like the other ones. And this hard panning thing kind of bothers me. This is also really nice from Kiko. It's a finishing powder. It's the 2-in-1 Blurring Primer and Perfecting Powder. So it's also a baked formula, hyper smooth, super tightly pressed in there. It kind of reminds me of like a tighter pressed version of the Laura Mercier one that I just showed you, because it has like a little bit of luminosity. I like it. It's just, again, like super not long lasting. It's a good finishing powder, but it fades off pretty quickly. And these are probably, if I'm being honest, my least favorite. I don't find a huge love for the one for House Labs like I do their foundation. It's called the Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder, and this one's in Translucent. I think it's good. I just don't find that like overly sets my makeup. I felt like the powder was less of a hit for me than the foundation was. I think it's nice. Again, I feel like it fades off quicker than the other ones. The one from Rare Beauty and the one from Say are nice. This one is a setting powder in light. It almost has like a pink hue to it, so it's pretty for a little rosy finish. I feel like though it doesn't stand out to me over some of the other ones. I don't find that it's an overly setting product, but it doesn't dry me out. The Say one is a little bit on the heavy side for me, and so I don't reach for this one very often. I kind of feel like this one matters what foundation I'm wearing. I try and usually go into this one if it's like a lighter skin tint day or something like that. I feel like it's kind of on the heavier side, like drier side is what I should say. And so yeah, I feel like this one is like you grab for it when you know you're having, I don't know, a better, more hydrated skin day. And this last one is a pressed one from NARS. It's their Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. It's okay, but it's just a kind of illuminating under the eye product to do anything. It has a little bit of a shade to it, so you're not gonna want it like all over your face, and it does have a little bit of luminosity to it. See that? I kind of use it like under my eyes, like just across, like sweep it under my eyes and then across like the tops of my cheekbones, and then it's nice. But I almost never reach for it because I usually want to set down my concealer with something a little bit nicer than this, and it's pretty hard to pick up this product. Like, as you can see, not a whole lot comes off on it, so it's like some occasions, just not many. Okay, this is my boring collection of high-end setting sprays. I don't use setting sprays that often. I don't try a lot of setting sprays either, so this is the Sephora one, Makeup Setting Spray 16-Hour Wear. It's nice. It's a little bit of an intense sprayer, and if you let it sit for a while, it comes out in a single stream. So you gotta kind of prime the pump a little bit to get it to come out in more of like a dispersed spray. It is pretty good, but it's not my most longest lasting. The Professional Super Setter, it's a little bit sticky for me. It kind of reminds me of like the Milani Make It Last. It is a decent sprayer though. Then I have the one from Rare Beauty. This is the Always an Optimist 4-in-1 Makeup Mist. This one is the, like, it has a really, really dewy finish. I don't reach for dewy finishes that much anymore. In fact, since my change in skin type, I've been reaching for much more mattifying setting sprays. So this one I do not reach for that much anymore. This one doesn't have a lot left in it. This is probably the first setting spray I ever tried, the Urban Decay All Nighter. It's a decent setting spray. I have been using this to just wet my brushes, and it's been working. It's like I want to use it up completely. Same thing with this one, the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. I use it a lot to wet my brushes with, like both of these, and I feel like it helps set my makeup down. I don't necessarily notice as much when I spray it on top of my foundation. I feel like both of these do a pretty good job, and they're not like a sticky finish like the Professional Super Setter. But yeah, I definitely want to pan both of these. So that is it for the setting sprays. I have pulled out all of my eye products, so we'll do this next. Okay, everything related to, I think, eye products and brows. I don't have that much in this category. I feel like a lot of my colorful liners are coming from the drugstore these days. I also don't keep brow products too long if they don't work for me, so that's why I only keep a select few. I do really enjoy like all of these though, minus this one, so we'll go over this one. This is the Benefit Goof Proof Brow Powder in the shade 3. I use 3 in the Benefit Precise in my brow like a lot. This one comes out darker than the pencil does just because it's a powder form, so it's a little bit too dark for my brows. I just haven't decluttered it yet, but it's not something that I reach for at all. I think I have, yeah, I have the 3 right now. I switch between 2.5 and 3 in the Benefit Precise in my brow, but both of them work really well for me. This just isn't as dark when it comes in this like microfine pencil for whatever reason. I just feel like this comes out a lot darker. Plus I just find this is like harder to use. It's just not as fast, so I don't really enjoy it. I just picked this up. This is like on sale right now. I feel like they might be phasing this out. This is the Superfine Brow Detailer from Too Faced. This one is in the shade Taupe, and it has a really thin tip, but it's like a shape to it, just a little bit, just like the Rare Beauty one. It's a much cooler tone. This one hasn't even gone into a speed reviews yet, but I rotate between like this color and the darker one sometimes, just depending upon what eye look I'm doing. This one is the Brow Harmony Enriched Taupe from Rare Beauty. This is her original, so it has the gel on one side, which I never use, and then the like thick kind of teardrop shaped pencil on the other side, and I use this one. It's like you're basically filling in your brows when you use this, but it is nice, and this is her new release and I love this. This is the Brow Harmony Precision Pencil, same shade, Rich Taupe. It still has kind of like a teardrop shape to it. It's just like the one from Too Faced. I feel like this one, for whatever reason, like when it's in these finer brow pencils, it just looks a lot more natural, and so I can get away with the shade, even though I feel like the shade is still a little dark for a taupe shade, or maybe just that it has like a little bit more warmth than I think of when I think of taupe, just a little bit. And then for my eye primers, I don't have many in the high-end category. This is just a tiny little tester. It's almost done, but I used to love this. I had like a big size, I had a mini, I had like a tester, and this is all I have left because I found, I think, less expensive options that do pretty much the same thing. There's no real like shade to this. It's just nice that it primes your eyes, and I feel like it did a good job. This is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. It's literally almost gone. I need to use it up. This one from Rare Beauty is her eye primer. That's all it's called. And it has a little bit of a tint to it. I've been reaching for this one so much more lately because it's just a really smooth formula. It works like with every single shadow, and I love a doe foot applicator, I'm coming to find. This one is from True and Luscious. It's the Angel Eyes Eyeshadow Primer. I got this in a BoxyCharm a while ago. This one reminds me of like kind of a high-end version of the Juvia's Place one because it's really tinted, it's really thick. So if you wanted to do like a really vibrant eye look, it's really nice. I don't think that, you know, this is worth running out and purchasing because it's kind of on the more expensive side. And as far as I know, they only have their website where you can purchase that. All right, on to eye products. So I have one liner here that also pairs as lash glue. It's called the Lash and Glow 3-in-1 Magnetic Eyeliner and Lash Adhesive from Velour. The problem is this formula that it's just, oof. It's a really good liner. It's just super sticky and you have to be super precise. And I find that this brush tip gets all over my lashes, and so it kind of makes a mess. So I don't really enjoy this. I just really haven't decluttered it yet. And then I have two, I actually got these in PR from iMethod, and they're the wing stamps, and they also have eyeliners. The eyeliners are really good though. Look, I even have like shadow on it. They're actually really precise, even though they look like a pretty thick tip. And they're really waterproof and really nice. I also have used these wings too, and I don't think the wings are half bad. Let me just do a better one. I actually find that the wings work really well. I think they're like nice for beginners if you're trying to do a wing without knowing how to do a wing, because I really still don't know how to do a wing, but the eyeliners themselves are also really nice. So I don't think those are half bad. They're a pretty long-lasting formula too. And then for my other liquids, I have one from Urban Decay. It's the 24/7 inks. This one is just in black, so it's called Zero. The problem with it is that it's so long. And when I do my eyeliner, I get really close to the mirror. And so I find that this really long end kind of gets in the way. I do like this, like you can hold it really nicely. That's cool about it, but just this extra stuff here that's basically for aesthetic purposes actually messes with the functionality of it. Then I have one from Danessa Myricks. This is the Line Work Eyeliner in Onyx. Another one that I really, really enjoy. Super precise, waterproof, felt tip. This one I just got. This is from Doll Beauty. It's the Push Poppin' Liner. It's in black licorice. It's just not like, do you see how it's, like you really gotta shake this and not a lot comes off on it. I've just been really struggling with this one since trying it. Like you really have to shake it, and then it won't take me my length of my eye, so I do not recommend that one. And then my absolute favorite is the Sephora Wink It, Colorful Wink It Felt Liner. This is just waterproof in black, I think. I don't know what the shade is, but this is the one I use all the time because it's so pigmented, it's so precise, it's no frills, it's budge proof. This last one here is from Rare Beauty. This is her Perfect Strokes Matte Liquid Liner. I enjoyed this one. It's a little bit of a thicker tip, so I mean you gotta kind of like that, but it's also really good liner. And I have one more here that is from the Glamlight X Chucky collection, and it's pretty good. I don't think it's as good as some of my other ones because it's not as pigmented. It's nice and thin tipped, but yeah, just not as pigmented. And then for my pencils, I have two black ones. This one is the Luxe Gel Liner in number 1 Kill Black. It's not that great. Like it's kind of a harder formula. It's on the drier side. I feel like I don't really need this one in my collection, and I kind of feel like it transfers. Like the couple of times I was using it in my upper waterline to really just fill in, it was transferring. The one that never transfers is the Sephora retractable eyeliner. This one is waterproof. I don't know that this claims to be waterproof, so I don't enjoy that one. I should get rid of it. But this is my ride or die. Like, I love this. It's basically the only one I reach for to fill in my upper lashes. And finally, for the black color, this one again from Chucky X Glam Light, transfers. It's nice if you want to like smoke out the lower lash line, but you can't fill in your upper waterline with this because it will transfer. And then some of my colorful ones, my favorite is the new one from Rare Beauty. This one is the Perfect Strokes Longwear Gel Liner in the shade Compassion. It's just a really good formula. It's very, very creamy, but it's also like super budge proof. So thoroughly enjoy that one. I like this one from Make Beauty. This is the Continuum Waterproof Gel Liner in Otherworld. And this one does come like with a little brush on the end of it. It's one of the Make Beauty products that I really like. It's pretty non-budge, but it's pretty. It's like kind of shimmery. I use this in the waterline and the lower lash line. A formula that I just cannot get down with is the Line It Up 24-Hour Gel Pencil Liner in Greener Pastures from Give Beauty. It just, ooh. I haven't tested this one that much. I have another one that I have decluttered. I bought two at the same time, and I can't remember what the other shade was, but for whatever reason, it wouldn't deposit into my waterline very well. I haven't tried this one enough, but I'm assuming it's kind of the same formula. I just do want to test it out to see if it's a little bit different than the other one that I tried from her. But yeah, it wouldn't go into my waterline. It just kind of kept slipping out. I didn't like it. I do like this. I wonder if they even make this anymore. It's the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Pencil in Tiger's Eye. Oh look, I need to sharpen it. It's also kind of like shimmery. It's the most shimmery one that I have. And I think it's really pretty. I just don't know that they make this shade anymore. It's a good kind of waterproof, non-budging formula. All right, let's move on into mascaras. All right, let's go through my favorites. So this one literally no one talks about, but it is so good. It is my favorite product from Simi Haze. This is the Easy Lash Mascara. Something about it, like it doesn't look like it deposits a lot of product, but it's really pigmented. And this is my favorite kind of like brush tip, where they're a plastic wand and they're really, really small. I feel like I can get super close to my lash line with these. So if you guys have seen me talk about mascaras, you know that I really like this. It's such a beautiful mascara, super clean. It's actually called the Clean Lift Mascara, but again, like Simi Haze is a brand that no one talks about. They are in Sephora. I feel like they have most of their line in there. Simi Haze, I don't know, they're twin sisters and they have like a beauty line, I guess. I did test a bunch of the stuff out. And then I have really been enjoying this one from Huda. It's the One Coat Wow Mascara. It has just these short bristled plastic wand. It's kind of a thicker formula. Like this one is definitely more lightweight. This is a little bit heavier, but it dries down and it doesn't weigh down my lashes, and it deposits a lot of pigment. It's just a really easy to work with formula, and that one is a volumizing one. Another one that I am loving lately is the High Key Mascara from Beauty Bay. It's also a volumizing mascara. It honestly kind of reminds me of the Huda Beauty one, like very similar wands, very similar formula. This is more lightweight than the Huda Beauty one, but so, so good. Some of my other favorites are, in terms of volumizing, I think, are the Cali Ray Come Hell or High Water. This one has a little bit of a different wand for me. It's kind of a natural bristled wand, but it's short. It's just a little bit different. It's kind of a chunkier formula, but I do really enjoy this. And then the Tower 28 one, so, so good. The Make Waves Mascara. The only problem is I feel like this formula dries out like super fast. This is my second tube of this, so I feel like, you know, I don't know, it's just kind of a drier formula, but man, does it give you really good pigmentation. It's a really good one. Another one that I really like is the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions. It's a tubing mascara, nice plastic bristled wand. I feel like this is my second one. So, so good. Look at this packaging, is starting to fall apart. Honestly, these two kind of similar. One is a tubing mascara and one is not, but they both have like the same amount of pigmentation and kind of give the same length and effect. Another good one is this one from Give Beauty. This is her Can't Stop Staring mascara. It's kind of an interesting wand, like has a ball at the end, but it's the kind of wand that I like. It reminds me a lot of the one from Simi Haze. Like they're both really, really good mascaras. And then I feel like the Rare Beauty one is nice. It's a different kind of wand for me. Again, kind of like the natural bristles. It's a little bit thicker, but it's a volumizing mascara. This one is just a mini, and this is my like second one, but I like this tube better than the first time that I tried it, because the first time I feel like I kind of got a dry bottle. I feel like this is a better, wetter formula, and I don't think it's clumpy. I just think it's nice and like volumizing. I really enjoyed this one from MAC. It's a mini MAC stack. The only problem is this formula just irritates my eyes. So I think it's time to let this go because listen, it's on the dry side too. But I really enjoyed this. I thought it was beautiful. I would definitely recommend this if it didn't irritate your eyes. And I could take it or leave it with the rest of these. The Milk Makeup one is a waterproof one. It's their Rise mascara. And it's just not my kind of wand. It's a little bit curved. I don't like that. I find it's a little bit harder to work with these kind of wands. But it's a super dry formula, and I find that it's like, I don't know, kind of clumpy. Like, did it just do that? It potentially did. But yeah, it's just drier and I don't love it. This one from Fenty is the Hella Thick mascara. Again, kind of a wand that I don't really love, but it's kind of a clumpy mascara anyway. So don't necessarily love that one. I actually do like this Huda one. I should have pulled this one out. This is her legit lashes. This is an older tube too. This one kind of has a similar wand to the MAC stack one. It's pretty decent. The one side is supposed to be curling and lengthening, and that one that I just showed you is volumizing. You could just use one or the other. Like, you don't have to layer these on top of each other. I feel like they work really well just by themselves. I've found other mascaras that I enjoy more than this one, but I do think this one is a pretty decent one. I don't really care for the Benefit Roller Lash. It's just not pigmented enough. It just doesn't deposit enough pigmentation onto my lashes. I don't think anything else is wrong with the formula. This one is a freaking hot mess. From LYS, this is their Lash Confidence. Terrible wand, terrible packaging. Like, I turn my mascaras, and I think that's the reason they're supposed to be like round. Like, even this one is kind of on the I don't know about it side, but this is even worse. Like, I can barely hold this. Look at that. Gross. It just, the curved wand, the packaging, you get so much goop on it. It's goopy on the eyelashes. I just haven't let this go yet because that's fairly new. And I hate to say this, but the Thrive Liquid Lash Volumizer Mascara, it's kind of on the like messy side. I liked it when I first tried it, but as I use it more, as the formula like dries out, leave it open for a while, it's just messy for me. It's just that the bristles are just too big. So I just make a huge mess. So I don't know. It's a tubing mascara also, but I feel like it's just a messier mascara than the liquid lash extensions. So I actually haven't been enjoying that. That is it for mascaras. Now we're gonna move on to face products. I forgot this mascara. This is the new KVD Full Sleeve Mascara. It's a volumizing mascara. I honestly think it's a tubing mascara too. It's so good. It's really good. I thought it was gonna be like super aggressive, but it's actually like this really clean, volumed lash. I used it once in a testing new makeup video. This is like, I can tell, gonna become one of my favorite mascaras. So forgot that one, wanted to mention it, but I also brought over here my face palettes, and instead of like just setting them up, I kind of feel like I'll just stack them and then we can just go through them here. So these are all like, I don't know, face palettes, highlighter palettes, anything that really has a duo or more. So the first one here is from Undone Beauty. It's the Mega Creams, 4-in-1 color cream and Neapolitan cream. I feel like this is all supposed to be blush, and then this one is supposed to be a highlighter. I guess you could try and use this as a bronzer, but it's not really, it's too red. It's not really a good bronzy shade on me. But the formula of everything is really nice. I don't love the pan size, but because it's such a beautiful formula, I kind of get over it. It's a little bit sticky, but it has a lot of like pigmentation, and it blends in really nicely. So I've been enjoying a couple of things from Undone Beauty that I have been trying lately. I have one highlighting palette from Ace Beauté. This is the Glow Essentials highlighter palette. I liked this a lot more than I thought it was going to. It's just a really buttery, smooth formula. It's just great. Like, it's just a really good formula. It's really pigmented, beautiful shades in here too. Like, it's one of the few highlighter palettes that I feel like I could use kind of more than one or two of the shades. And there's one here that's kind of like a pink flip to it. So the quality of it is just quite good. This one is a blush palette from NARS, limited edition. I want to say last holiday. It's the Rising Star Cheek palette. It's a baked formula. So good, so beautiful. 5 mattes and 1 like shimmer formula. This is another palette that I find that more than just one of the blush shades works for me. I find that like every single one of these blushes is flattering, except maybe this kind of like magenta one, but it's a popular blush shade, so I feel like a lot of people would enjoy it, even though it's not something that I like. And even the shimmery one over here is just quite beautiful and pigmented and not like too shimmery. It's such a good baked formula. It's so smooth. My only NARS blush palette that I've ever tried like that. But if I was somebody who didn't have a lot of makeup, I feel like this is a palette with a formula and shade that I feel like you could just keep just this in your collection and it would like satisfy a lot of different looks that you create. I have the Nude Prism blush palette from Lunar Beauty. All of these are mattes. One of them has like a little bit of sparkle in it, but not much. It's a beautiful blush formula. It's soft and buttery and pigmented. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Here's the one that has a little bit of shimmer. I don't think I've ever even touched that one. This is probably like something I could get away with as a bronzer, even though it's meant for a blush. Again, I don't really care for this kind of shade, but everything else, I feel like this one, and this one are kind of blush shades that I really enjoy. It's a good formula. I have one of the cheek clappers from One Size 3D Blush Trios. This one is in Very That. One of my favorite formulas. I love every one of them. I love the shimmer, so good. I love the matte, so good. And I love the cream, so good. Every one of these is amazing. I think this formula was good. I know the super pink one just went like super viral, but this is a shade that I really prefer. This formulation is delightful. And I like all three of them, which is unusual. I don't usually love every single finish, and I just love that it's a little trio, but it's not like humongous, but the pan size isn't small. Like he took up like a good portion. Everything about it is good. One of the duos from Patrick Ta, this one is in Do We Know Her? I feel like this is kind of a mauve shade. I forget it's like Tom Ford packaging. Nope, it's not. It's another orange. I like this formula. I also think it's really good. I like the one from One Size better though. This is not, I feel like it's not as smooth a formula. It is smooth, but I just feel like it's not as smooth as the one from One Size. And this cream is not as matte or as easy to work with. I feel like it has a little bit of stickiness to it. It's good. I just prefer the one from One Size a little bit more. I have a highlighting palette from Touch in Soul. It's called the Glowdient Makeup Palette, but it's a highlighter with a gradient. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It came in a boxy charm, but it's like really smooth and really pigmented. I like a lot of these. I think it's not a lot, just the three first highlighting shades are all really nice, like on my skin tone. It's more of this pinky peachy shift. Champagne, more icy maybe, or is this peach and this is champagne? I don't know, it's hard to see at this angle because I'm kind of like sitting at a weird angle to film. But anyway, the formula is awesome. They don't even sell these anymore. I feel like it was a BoxyCharm exclusive, but the formula was so good that I held on to it. Then I have one blush palette from Ofra. It's the Charm Your Cheeks. I want to say this was a BoxyCharm exclusive also. I believe it was. And I held on to it too because I really like a lot of these blush shades. And this one was super unique in my collection. I don't really have anything else, or didn't at the time, that was like, no, I still don't. Like, this is really super vibrant. And I get along with most of these shades, so I've held on to it. Plus the formula, honestly, is really easy to pick up, and it's just pigmented and very airbrushed looking on your cheeks. So I enjoyed this. I don't have very many Ofra products, but I liked it. One from Jaclyn Hill. It's the Rouge Romance Rouge Affair. I feel like this one also came in like 2 color stories. This is a little bit too pink for me, but I have held onto it because I just think the formula is a little bit to die for. It's really soft, really smooth, really buttery. What else can I say? It just has good pigment. I feel like though if I was gonna declutter anything, like this would be it, just simply for the shades that are available, because I'm reaching for so many more peach blushes and mauve blushes these days. I have a face palette from Cali Ray. It is the, I don't even know what they call this. All their stuff is like sustainable packaging, reusable, looks like bamboo. It's a recycled paper box. I told you guys that I had been enjoying Cali Ray products, but this is probably one of the products that I liked the least because these two didn't really work as bronzers for me. These highlighters are a little deep for my liking. This blush I really enjoyed. This is kind of the only bronzer shade, and this is kind of a wasted shade because I don't brighten that often, and it just isn't like that light of a powder. It's almost like kind of a luminous, I don't even know, this is kind of like a brow bone highlight almost, and that's not something that I do. The only thing in here that I really enjoy is this blush, so shade wise it just wasn't a hit for me. I have another older product that you can't even get anymore because Becca is no longer available, and it was the Chloe and Malika collab. And this one was Made with Love by Chloe, the BFF's Bronze Blush and Glow Palette. It was made in Italy. Like, it's honestly such good quality, and I don't want to let it go. It's like a baked formula. And again, everything here really works for me. Blush is beautiful. Bronzer is beautiful. If I insist on swatching everything, it's gonna take me forever. These are like, this is like a blush, and then this one's like a highlighter, but I feel like everything just works. Like, it's just so good. It's such a good baked formula and super pigmented and blendable. So even though, you know, in makeup world, it's probably like expired and you can't get it anymore, and Becca is gone, I still don't want to let it go.